2020 NFL draft is finally over. Thank God. Today, we're going to be talking about the Texans 2020 draft class. And I'm going to let you guys know now, I'm going to be assigning grades to each prospect in their round picked. But that does not mean that this is how their careers are going to be. I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know everything about football. These are just my opinions on each prospect pick. So, in the second round, pick 40, the Houston Texans selected Ross Blacklock, D-tackle out of TCU. Now, when I was watching Ross's film, he stood out to me, which is usually a good thing when it comes to film. Because whether it's good technique, bad technique, if someone stands out, that means they're at least physically noticeable. Now, the main thing with Ross, that I saw at least, was he was able to get upfield whenever he wanted. If he wants to go through you, he's gonna go through you. Now, he does have some negatives with that. Sometimes he'll decide before the ball is snapped, hey, I'm going this way and I'm doing this, and then he won't adapt mid-play. So, for example, he'll decide, hey, my assignment is to get to the quarterback on this play. I'm gonna swim past the center, and then if that doesn't work, I'll try to spin to him. But the play will end up going away from him. He won't deter from that. At least not quick enough to where he makes an impact on the play. Now, with that said, I think Ross is a A+ pick. Texans needed as much pass rush as they could, and in my opinion, they got the best interior pass rusher outside of Javon Kinlaw in this draft class. Next up, round 3, pick 90, they took Jonathan Grenard, edge from Florida. Now, pre-draft, I'll admit I did not watch Grenard's film because I thought he would be one of those sleeper round picks, like a 5th to 7th round draft pick. I did underestimate him. However, I'm not a huge fan of this pick. If I had to give it a grade, I'd give it a B. A B mainly because he did have the production at the college level, but I'm not sure how that's going to translate to the NFL. Grenard, he showed that he could do moves, but wasn't the best at doing them. Grenard, he was able to beat offensive linemen consistently, but it wasn't using the best techniques, and it seemed like he was banking more on, I'm stronger than you, so I'm going to get past you, which is not something that's going to work at the NFL level unless you're a generational physical freak like Jadeveon Clowney. Because Jadeveon Clowney has the same issue, which is why he doesn't get a ton of sacks in the NFL. Clowney is banking on, I'm bigger than you, I'm faster than you, and I'm stronger than you, and I'm gonna get past you. Which is easy to get away from. Which is part of the reason, in my opinion, he's not getting that $20 million contract he wants. Because he's not a technician like Khalil Mack is. So, the pluses with Grenard, pluses with him, I think he's got good enough athleticism and size to be able to translate pretty easily to the NFL game. However, his negatives, I really think he needs to develop moves, and I think this is a great place for him to learn those moves, because he's going to be able to learn every single time he steps on the practice field, watching Whitney Merciless across from him, J.J. Watt on the defensive line, Jacob Martin, who a lot of people probably won't understand as pass rush moves, but he's actually really good with that. And then even Brennan Scarlett has decent moves but not the best. So he's gonna be able to learn those, in my opinion. And the reason I'm giving him that B, just because I have to see him actually get there. All right, round 4, pick 126 in the draft. Texans selected Charlie Heck, tackle from North Carolina. Now, Charlie Heck is not a pick I like at all. The grade I'd give it is a D pick because they don't have plans for him to start. They don't. Unless they're going to kick their first round right tackle for the future to guard, which I think would be a very bad plan. I don't see him playing significant time. Charlie Heck, he's a big freak size player, but I'm not a fan of his technique. I'm not a fan of how he uses his hands, how he punches. Not a fan. Taking a swing tackle in the 4th round when you're limited on picks is not a good decision, especially not when you have a guy like Roderick Johnson on the roster who is solid in the time he did play. Was he the best? No, but he's a swing tackle for a reason. So Charlie Heck, I'm giving it a D, not a fan of it all. All right, the Houston Texans' second 4th round pick 141 in the draft. They selected John Reed, defensive back from Penn State. The grade I'm going to give this pick, I'm going to give this a B, similar to Grenard. Reed is a limited player. He's not an outside corner. He's going to be strictly a slot corner, which slot corner is a need for the Texans. But Reed is not the best athlete. Like, he's not going to survive off athleticism like someone like Bradley Roby or Lonnie Johnson, guys who have the physical traits. He's more of a smarts player. Like, oh, I know what this play they called is. Let me position myself like this. That's his game. He's able to play press, which is great for the new system we've been trying to run. He doesn't handle speed the best. So if he's going against a guy like Calvin Ridley, who's got wheels, I don't see him covering him very well. He's going to need a lot of help once the ball is in air, which I think he'll have with Justin Reed over the top. But again, I'm giving him a B just because he's limited and will still need to work on his game. I think he'll be decent, but I don't see him being a long-term starter at corner or even safety. Reed, however, could make a living off returns, but that depends on how his return game translates to the NFL, which I'm iffy on it even will. Alright, round 5, pick 171 in the draft. Houston Texans selected Isaiah Colter, wide receiver from Rhode Island. Now, Colter is somebody that I saw draft Twitter hyping up a lot, and I quite frankly can't understand why. I didn't watch his film pre-draft. I did watch it post-draft. And watching his film, I wasn't blown away. He had similar things to athletes where it's, oh, I'm faster than you and bigger than you at the college level, so you can't stop me. But he's not a refined route runner, doesn't have a great release. He's not going to get you a bunch of yards after the catch unless he's wide open. His really only assets is his height and his speed. I mean, if I'm comping him to a former Texans player, I would comp him to Vincent Smith a couple years ago. because he's got all the physicals. His film makes him look like he's high 4.3s, got the size, but going against that level of competition at the college level is not prepping him for what he's going to face at the NFL level. Going against no-name, we'll call him Sean Smith at the college level, is not going to be the same thing as going against Bradley Roby's of the world, the Garyon Conleys of the world, the Richard Shermans of the world. It's not going to prep him for that. So I think he's a project player that could end up being something, but that 100% depends on the Texans' development and him. From his personality, he seems like the kind of kid who's a worker. But other than that, I'd have to give this pick a C. Not a great pick, not a bad pick, kind of intermediate. So, if I'm giving the Texans a grade, again, all of these are my opinion. If I'm giving them a grade for their draft, I'm going to give them a B+. They did exactly what they needed to. They addressed major positions of need, got depth as well in this draft, but there's still a lot of questions.